Hi students, as we are talking about the poem Tiger for last few days, we have come across so many important points that the poet has raised in this poem. We have been discussing the viewpoint of William Blake that he is sharing through this poem about the creator, who is the final creator of this universe. Today we have summary to discuss, but I would also like to associate my personal idea with the idea of William Blake to explain the poem more distinctly. I am Dr. Naveen Kumar Jha, Associate Professor in English, RAGS College, Ahilya Asthan. We know that this poem is all about Tiger, around Tiger. Almost major chunk of this poem is to deal with the tiger and its quality endowed by the creator and the power and capacity of the creator to create this kind of surprising and fearful creation. But the concluding line is remarkable in the sense that has kept the very living being, rather vulnerable living being, lamb, to put the contrast between the creation of tiger and the creation of lamb. This contrast is to focus on the very much ability of the creator, who is actually just a champion of creation and able to create so many surprising and contradictory things that human being cannot create. He addresses to a tiger which is keeping bright flashes of color, and just it is so bright that we are able to see into the dense forest in dark night. It is just the very much bright color of tiger which seems to be focused, or which seems to have been focused by the poet to highlight the very much brightness of color of tiger. But I'm going to talk about this kind of analysis from my personal angle point of view as well. I think that there is a process of knowing and learning something. We find that the world of knowledge is full with darkness. When we start learning something, we start traveling through darkness, or everything remains into darkness. And it is by sudden just a ray, that is bright ray of knowledge, that the thing becomes apparent and visible. And the existence of things comes to our knowledge. Forest is here related to our unconscious brain, which is reservoir of knowledge. We know several kinds and several things of secrets are lying there dormantly. We actually cannot make them bring to our conscious mind, to our knowledge, without just diving into the forest like our unconscious brain. And when we try to travel through that unconscious brain, the understanding of the subject becomes apparent at our conscious level, and we try and we are able rather to know that kind of thing which remains hidden into our brain. So what I want to intend at this juncture is the fact that it is simply the description of Tyger, that Tyger, that is a very strange creation of the God, is bright enough to be watched even into the dark night, into dense forest. Similarly, the creation that human being has made has become possible all through the journey of ignorance of idea. And when you get experienced out of our journey into that just forest which is full with darkness, we are just coming to know everything that we have not been able to. The poet is just focusing upon the brilliant creation of Tyger's brain. Yes, he is taking so many parts of body of Tyger into account, and he is describing the very much just beautiful way by which the Tyger's different parts have been created by God. But the brain, what can you talk about the brain of Tyger? It is the best creation to the just by the God. To the poet, no creation is as great as the brain of Tyger. It is so beautifully designed that we do not find any parallel. So, if this is the just best invention, definitely the inventor is also the best. The brain of Tyger has been just made all because of the best brain of the creator. It is only by the best brain of creator that it has been possible that best brain of Tyger has been made. So he is the best finalist in the sense that he has created the best thing by wonders of tools. There are several tools used by the creator. The tools are just a harness, tools are chain, hammer. Human being has also been using the same tools for creation. We also are creator. Human beings are also creator next to God. We can say human beings are creator, and human beings have created lots of things which are just excellent. But we can say the tools used by the poet is actually very brilliant. And we do not find that this kind of tool is elsewhere just made and used by human being. It is exceptionally by God and God-like creature that this kind of tool has been made. By dint of those tools, God has been successful in making the very beautiful Tyger with fearsome beauty. What an idea! What an idea in the mind of God that He wanted to make a very beautiful creation that is realized through Tyger, which has fearsome beauty. We find that it is really contradictory. We generally find that beautiful thing is not fearful. We love watching beautiful thing, but here we love watching Tyger too. But the moment we just start watching Tyger, we get terrified by its just what you can call symmetrical body. And we are known of the power and strength that the Creator has poured on Tyger. So it is all surprise creation. I can say that God is not only the creator, God is a surprise creator. He has made some wonderful things to get human beings surprised. Life is full with surprise. We can say, even in particular life of a human being, we find that there are so many beautiful moments that he is spending, and at the same time, there are so many beautiful, but fearsome moments that we have spent. We simply do not believe that the most beautiful that we have spent is also created by God, and the most fearsome moment that we have spent is also created by God. How is it possible? The same God is capable of creating the beautiful moment of our life and at the same time fearful moment of our life. So, to the poet, it is just a very much surprise element that has been kept by the Creator in His creation. Otherwise, God would not have been remembered and loved and admired as we are making. Just had He not been just including the surprise element in His creation, we would not have been admiring Him so much as we are making. So, the best creator is supposed to include so many contradictory elements in his creation. So, it is all because of that contradiction. We can say that Creator looked at the tiger and smiled. He became happy to see that, oh, what a creation! That we do not find any creation of this excellence made by any creator in this world. It is simply by God that He has made that kind of creation. We find that in this world there are just contradictions between the creation that God has made. Hell, God has made heaven. Isn't a kind of a set of contradiction? We can say that we are talking all at the same time about the two opposite realities. That idea of heaven is not to be understood without the idea of hell. So both are running parallel. We find that it is the completeness of creation. We can say that God has created this kind of contradictory things to complete His creation. He knows that He will not be treated to be the best creator if He is not making that kind of contradictory things. So here you find, as just elsewhere, that tiger and lamb have been kept together for just looking at the contradictory realities of the creation by Almighty. Similarly, we can say God has made several things, including heaven, earth, and hell. So here too you find that heaven and earth are contradictory realities. And just the quality which heaven contains is not contained by hell. But they are in complementary distribution. Just the knowing of each depends on another. Knowing of tiger depends on lamb, and vice versa. So it is just a kind of contradiction. It is a kind of contradiction by which we can just come to the completion of a cycle of understanding. Okay, we can talk about health when we are talking about unhealth. So if there is always health and health, there is no importance of that kind of thing, and we are hardly paying any attention to health if there is no unhealth living here. We are talking because we want to just switch over from unhealth to health. And so, we can say that the whole world really is replete with so many contradictory things, including tiger and lamb that God has made. And it is why God is smiling at His creation. So, tiger has been symbolically used. Tiger has been symbolically used because it is God's ability, which is capable of making just a violent and frightening tiger. It is God's capacity who has been able to make very meek and vulnerable lamb. And you find, okay, in this world too, there are tiger like personalities who are just destructive in the nature, who are creating fear in society, and there are lamb like people also living here. Or perhaps in Hindu mythology, just god and demon classes just have been talked in the same way, that if there is no demon, there is no God. The idea of God emerges when the idea of demon comes to our brain. If there is no Ravan, there is no just complimentary talk about Rama and so on. So we find that this kind of thing is essential to make something very just what you can call permanent creation. If we want to make anything permanent creation, we want to make this kind of contradictory creations. So just we are simply just going to find so many things about God. We try to know about gods, and we remain interested to decipher God only because of his power, that he has been able to make this world, which consists of so many just tiger like people and lamb like people also. And so we are always just trying to remember God when just we face demon like people. And most often we say that we are lamb like people. Tigers are not just many in numbers, but tigers are here, and there is always a conflict between tiger-like person and lamb-like person, and out of conflict, just we find that new system emerges, and we move on. So it is all surprising. It is all surprising that this world is just made of these kinds of contradictory elements. Now we can say that definitely the example of tiger and lamb just is to lead us to conclude that this world is just of this kind of creature. Even in human beings, even in just one human being's life, we can say that these two kind of elements are always present: constructive and destructive. You find that very much constructive idea is also coming into the life of a person, and very much destructive time is also coming in the life of the person. So we suffer suffering, pain, hatred, violence. We find that these are all the elements of which human life is made. Even Dharma Shastra is trying to make us teach that we should have to control our hatred and violence, and we should move to a very much what we can call constructive side of our life, that we can be remembered. It is what religious development of personality is known as. All human beings are just made of these kind of contradictory and these kind of what we can call variant colors, variant tastes, various elements. And just one becomes saint just overcoming or just knowing all these kind of negative or destructive forces which are very much present in their life. We cannot say that journey of a saint just did not just face just pain, suffering, hatred, and violence. Yes, these things are always there. They are all tiger-like elements present in our brain, in our life. But we know how to overcome all these kind of things by this way or that way, and try to move on. But ultimately we find that it is all our just life, which also contains the same kind of thing. Now, finally, we can also talk that when William Blake was writing, it was the time of Industrial Revolution. You find that it was a very much turning point in the history of human civilization, that we were excessively using tools to change the lot of the people. We are thinking the lot of the people is to be changed by industrial tools. And so we find that so many surprising things have been made and developed that time. We find that from the very religious system of life we have entered into what we can call scientific research wall, where we have just known the use of different kind of tools for our just development. But and we have created so many things. We have established that we are equally a great creator, that we know just the tools, and we have the tools due to industrial revolution, and we have also just been able to create something. But the point is that, have human beings been able to make such a creation as is just Tyger? No, we simply cannot find that in one creation both kinds of elements are present. That it looks good and it is destructive. So we find that the very purpose of the poet is just to talk about that when we are talking about the creative power of human being, we find that human being is just simply able to talk about one thing at a time. He is not able to control so many contradictory things as God is controlling this world. And God is controlling this world full with contradictory things, full of opposite qualities. But human being has been just making so many creations where you find that it has been just made from one quality into consideration. It has never been made both the qualities into consideration. It is what the limitation of human being is. No matter what kind of just civilization has been developed by human being after industrial revolution. No doubt that through our hammer, chain, just furnace, anvil, we have also been just adding a lot to the making of this world. But we can say that we are not a champion creator. We are not going to make the creation as brilliantly as just God has been able to make. So we cannot be described as the final creator. We are creator, but to the limited just scope. We are created to the just having the limited power. That power is just beyond our control sometimes. Otherwise, had it not been the case, we would not have been facing lots of accidents in our life. Just all mechanical accidents are all due to the fact that we have not control over our creation completely, and sometimes it goes out of our control, and we have lots of accidents. But in the creation of just God, there is no question of accidents. Just we unwillingly just face accidents, or we do not want. But whatever destructive forces are working just and living in this world, it is all due to the wish of God. God wants them to live. God wants them to live because God wants to prove himself to be the most powerful and innovative just personality in the universe. So just he has full command over all kinds of things, and whatever is happening negatively, as you are describing that something God must not make someone dead and so on, we find yes, it is by the wish of God that person is born or person dies. It is not unwillingly that it is happening. God just wants this kind of thing to take place. And he controls everything with greatest majesty and so on. So we can say finally that this kind of meek and dangerous things are living here. We find that it is all the visual appearance of the tiger, which is bright orange striped, and which is also associated with the fire. That has been the very much just symbol for innovation for human beings, because it brings out light through which we are able to see so many things. So God has given that bright color, which is just very much like fire, and it makes it visible. And we find so many visible things in this world which have been hidden due to darkness, and it is all the just gift of God that has been poured on us. And we can say that tigers dangerous and destructive, but it is essential to complete the cycle of the creation. We cannot say that if something destructive happens in society, it is not essential. God thinks that it must go on only when just we can hope for the constructive aspect to start. If there is no destructive aspect, we cannot. If there is no death, then there is no question of birth. Birth takes place after death. So just death is also essential to just give the idea of birth continue. And it is why we can say that here the creator also needs willpower, bravery to make that kind of meaningful creation. It is not meaningless. We cannot say that when God has created this kind of destructive things, it was meaningless or God was merciless. No, it was all essential. Just when just some destructive forces are working, it is essential that here from we can say that some constructive force starts working. Otherwise, there will be no constructive force working. To make constructive force work, we have to make destructive force work as well. So, just when just a destructive force works, we can say constructive force starts working equally to make the balance between constructive force and destructive force. It is why we can say the poet has kept two just images, one of tiger, another of lamb, and we can say that these two images are enough to make the creation complete by the Almighty. And I hope that you have just come through the thing that is very much deciphered in the poem. Thank you.